One sunny day, Marco and Jelena went to the village with their mother and father. The village was located in central Serbia. While driving, they passed through many villages, fields, and meadows. The road led them over an old bridge. Crossing the bridge, they saw a flock of geese, 2 cats, and 1 slow turtle. Arriving at their grandmother's and grandfather's house, they got out of the car, and while running to the house, their path was intercepted by a curious kitten. When they entered the yard, the dog Zhucha was happy to come out of his doghouse. They saw the grandma and grandpa mowing the grass behind the house. Grandma was happy when she saw her grandchildren, and they ran to hug her to say hi. Mom and Dad came for a short time and immediately went back to the city to work. The grass that was cut by Grandma and Grandpa was collected to feed their animals. There were piglets, sheep, chickens, and geese. Grandma used the wool to knit socks and sweaters. Marco immediately ran to his grandfather so he could show him the new beehives. Marco and grandfather sat down on a tree stump, and then grandfather told Marco something interesting about the life of the bees. For example, when a mouse enters the bee's hive and wants to eat the honey, they sting him, and when he dies, they cover him with wax made by the bees themselves. Only bees of all insects know the secret of making honey and wax, and they keep that secret to this day. And when an uninvited guest, a hornet, enters their hive, the bees cover him with their bodies and work him until it dies. This is how they defend themselves against their enemies. While they were talking, grandfather was stung by a bee. But grandfather wasn't scared because it wasn't his first time, so he told Marco an interesting story. When a bee stings you, it leaves its sting and then dies. Then he told him that it is best to put ice on it and the pain will quickly go away. Marco felt sorry for his grandfather, but he was very sad when he heard that the bee dies after the sting. During that time, Grandma went to milk the cow, and she was accompanied by the dog Zhucha and several other goats. Grandma made cheese from milk by boiling the milk, cooling it, and adding rennet, which will separate the whey from the cheese. And Jelena carefully watched how Grandma was doing it so she could learn. While Grandma was resting, Grandfather and Marco baked cornbread. They whipped 3 eggs, 2 cups of corn flour, 1 cup of wheat flour, 200 grams of cheese, a cup of milk, and a half a cup of oil. They added a little salt and baking powder. They poured it all into a tray and put it in the oven to bake. When everything was finished, they sat down together at the table and had dinner. Since then, Marco and Jelena agreed with their parents to visit Grandpa and Grandma more often, which made Grandma and Grandpa very happy.